So we're looking at the intersection of Maisonneuve Boulevard with Grand Boulevard. They put in these painted saillies de trottoir recently, very recently. In fact, I think this was probably done within the last week or so, because I'm pretty sure when I was here a week ago and I had a look at the situation, they were not there. So I think this has been done within the last week. And I just did some video from ground level. I'm now up on the pedestrian overpass. And it's just to show cars sailing right through. So far, that hasn't happened. But believe me, when I was down there ground level and highly visible, in terms of me filming what was going on with my cell phone, a lot of cars just sailed right through, barely slowed down. You know, that's not an absolute full stop, and I'm not asking for full stops. There's no need to come to an absolute full stop if you slow down, look around, make sure there's no pedestrians or cyclists, and continue on your way. But what I'm concerned about is cars barely slowing down, just going right through, especially when they turn right and go up Grand. We saw plenty of that in the previous video. Again, it's not just cars. Cyclists basically ignore the stop signs, you know, as well. Okay, what's this? Okay, that's a train in the background. Thought it was a car coming up real fast, but no, it's just a train. So what do we got here? Okay, it's funny because so far I've seen a bunch of Montreal stops, and again, I can live with Montreal stops. Like what these cars are doing, this slowing down, and then, you know, almost stopping, but not totally stopping, then continue. That's fair enough. I don't have a problem with that. And so far, that's all I've seen. I'm actually surprised because I saw a lot of cars going right through when I was down at ground level filming, and very obviously filming. You know, they could see me. A lot of them did Montreal stops only because they saw me filming. Oh, what do we got here? What do we got here? Come see, come saw. It's worse. It gets worse than that, I can tell you. Another Montreal stop, basically. And of course, when somebody does a Montreal stop and there's someone behind, well, you know, the car behind basically can't sail through if it wants to anyway. So, okay, so far a whole bunch of Montreal stops. But, borderline. Okay, that's quite borderline, you know, basically not quite sailing right through at a highish speed, but not a Montreal stop either, somewhere in between. That's good. That's iffy. So, okay, so maybe I'm not going to have a whole lot of evidence of vehicles not doing Montreal stops. But the other thing, the reason I wanted to do this video from high up is to show what they did. They put in this sort of painted version of a saillie de trottoir. I don't even know the English word for it. So this narrowing of lanes, which is something I suggested. I suggested putting in like actual saillie de trottoir, you know, made out of concrete. And if they did that, I think that would have an effect, you know, in terms of, you know, sort of forcing cars to slow down considerably so they don't hit the concrete on either side. And certainly it would make it harder to swing around the corner. But in terms of what I saw just minutes ago from ground level, these are totally ineffective in terms of causing cars to slow down. There's really not a big difference in terms of before and after. And a lot of cars, you know, they went right over the inner saillie de trottoir between the bike lane and the road. See, there's one right on the edge of it. And there's a scooter going right through. That's another issue. As I said, bikes and also scooters, they sail right through. You can see the stop sign, which by the way is hidden by foliage. You can just see it in the far left of the frame there. There should be stop sign even lower down on that median. Now that they've put that sort of painted median there, they really should do what I suggested all along, and that is to put a very visible, upright sign saying this is a pedestrian crosswalk. And again, why is it that they can do this? Why is it that they can paint this, but they cannot paint a zebra stripe pedestrian crosswalk, which makes it very, very clear to everyone this is a zebra stripe crosswalk. You know, you're supposed to stop if you see pedestrians, especially. If it's a yellow zebra stripe, legally speaking, they're supposed to come to a full stop, you know, if there's a pedestrian wanting to cross. So again, we haven't seen too many people sail right through in this clip, which has been going for almost, 5 minutes and 40 seconds so far. But believe me, there's a whole bunch in the previous clip. So this is almost an anomaly. Okay, what do we got here? Yeah, see, that's not really a Montreal stop. They did slow down, but not by a whole lot. And I think I'll wait a little bit longer because I want to see there's the scooters and the bikes, they just go right through anyway. They don't care. But as I was saying in the previous video, a lot of the cars that go up Grand, that turn right to go up Grand, they just swing around that corner at high speed, you know, barely slowing down. And to me, it's just a matter of time before somebody gets hit when they do that. See, this one came to Montreal stop and turned, but plenty of others, and I have video evidence of that in the previous video that I did minutes ago, but also in other videos. A lot of cars turning right up Grand, they just sail right through. They barely slow down. So all of the recommendations that I made over the last 3 years have been basically ignored. And other than the fact that I did suggest this, but in concrete, like actual concrete saillie de trottoir. So they did this as a kind of compromise, I guess. But why is it that they cannot paint a pedestrian crosswalk and put in signs at ground level making it absolutely clear that it's a pedestrian crosswalk? And why can't they lower the stop signs like I suggested so it's more at eye level, you know, and not hidden by foliage? And why can't they put flashing lights on the stop signs to make them much more visible, and so on and so on? I made a bunch of recommendations, and basically none of them have been implemented so far. It is August 23rd, maybe 24th now. Can't remember the date off the top of my head. Tuesday it is anyway. Yeah, I'm not impressed. I'm really not impressed.